Hello and welcome. Thanks a lot for joining us in this video about a people's movement for prayer for peace. This year we are in the Jubilee year in the Catholic Church, and it's a hopeful year, but at the same time we see a lot of violence, a lot of war in the world, and we're not very happy with that. So we want to pray for that, and we hope as many people as possible can join us. So thanks a lot for being here. Maria, we really think it's necessary, right? This people's movement for prayer for peace.
Yes, I think it's very clear that we as humanity are not able to solve this kind of conflicts by ourselves. I think we need a higher power, and the highest power is our gracious God. And I think it's very important that we ask Him to give a lot of help and to help us as humanity to be more compassionate to each other. So I think prayer is the best way at this moment.
Very good. And so we are coming at this from our Catholic background. And so we have a couple of proposals, but we would first like to say that we would like everyone with all different backgrounds to join in this prayer. So you can take from these proposals whatever you like, feel free. You can also do this in your own way, pray to God in your own way. But we think it's very important that we all try to pray for peace. Our proposal has three parts. So the first is prayer of the Rosary, the second is Eucharistic adoration, and the third is accepting our inability, our not being able to address this situation and the different kind of difficulties that we have in the world, but also inside ourselves. So let's get started with the first one, which is the prayer of the Rosary. In the Catholic tradition, there's a big tradition of asking for help of the Mother of God, not because she's God herself, because she's not, but because she is the mother of Jesus, and we think that Jesus, how is he not going to listen to his mother, basically, right? And also, we experience her as very close to us, as a mother for us. And therefore, this prayer of the Rosary is something that has a lot of tradition in the Catholic Church, also in times of war. And quite a few wars, we think, have changed their course through praying the Rosary. Also, Mary in Fatima appeared there, and she asked for the Rosary to be prayed for peace. So there's really a lot of tradition in the Catholic Church of praying the Rosary for peace. And so we would like to also take up this tradition and continue it in the current situation. Right, Maria?
Yes, I can't say any more about it. Yeah, she's the Queen of Peace, and she's called the Queen of Peace. And it's nice that you recitate with the Rosary, with the chain. So you pray continuously, and when everybody does that after each other, we have a long prayer, and then she can bring our prayers to our Lord.
Yeah, very good. So this is actually what we are proposing. There's a shrine of Mary in the Netherlands. It's called Heilo, and there they've developed an app in which people can sign up for a time slot. And so the idea is that we have indeed a chain of rosaries, so that at every time in the end, always someone will be praying the rosary for peace. So this is the hope. And it would be great if people from all over the world could join, because you can also in the app say what your time zone is, and then it will shift automatically. So in the comments below, you can find the link to this app. So if you feel like joining us for praying the rosary for peace, please do sign up for a time slot, and then we can try to see whether 24 hours a day we can have someone praying the rosary for peace. That would be amazing.
And you can also pray at home, just on your own, or you can join a group if you know some group praying the rosary.
Right.
Or to find a chapel where you can easily sit and pray.
Exactly. We couldn't find an overview of all the chapels in all the world, but there's a link to Marian chapels in the Netherlands, at least below here, so you can have a look if you're in the Netherlands. But if you're abroad, then of course, I'm sure there's overviews where you could go to pray. And if there are initiatives, if you think, well, people should know about this initiative, please do leave a comment below so we can see where in the world there are initiatives for praying the rosary. It would be amazing if people share their initiatives in the comments. So that's the rosary. And the second one is Eucharistic adoration. Now, this is other Catholic custom. We believe that Jesus visits us himself personally with his body, his blood, his whole humanity, his whole divinity, and that he becomes present under the sign of bread. And this is something very miraculous. We also cannot fully understand it, but we still believe it. And in Eucharistic adoration, this bread that has become Jesus is placed at the front of the church or a chapel, and there we can be in his presence. And we've done this also with people who are not Catholics, and they also experience that there's a very strong spiritual presence there. So it's a beautiful place to also be in silence and to pray for peace in that context. Right, Maria?
Yes, the silence is very necessary to have a conversation with Jesus. So you can tell him about what you feel about the things happening in the world and the longing you have for peace. You can tell him everything. And it's important that you are still in the position that you can't manage it, that you don't know what to do. That's very important. So Jesus can give his peace and he can change our hearts so that we become more peaceful. And not only we who are praying, but also the people who are in war and in conflicts. So it doesn't only work for you alone, but it works for the world. But you have to be in the situation, you have to be clear about, I'm not able to solve this problem and I want your help. It needs our asking. But the silence is very important and everybody can join because we just have to sit there in silence. There are no rules and no ways you have to be. Just sit there and tell him your troubles.
Right. So it's on the one hand feeling unable to do anything about the situation in the world. So that is a feeling we can bring to him, but also maybe our own troubles, our own lack of peace inside of us, maybe our fears, anxieties, all that we can bring to our Lord and he can bring peace there. And so not only to us, but also to the people in those areas. So that's the Eucharistic adoration. And actually, we've already gone into the third part, which is, bringing our inability to our Lord. So we can do that both in the Rosary and in Eucharistic adoration, but also in different settings. I was very encouraged to hear that this is something that not only is for Catholics, but also I had a Muslim student who was a lady who was already during the war in Palestine, and she heard the imams saying that actually this is something people should do. So to remain with their inability and to invite God to help them with that inability. So I thought it was very beautiful and encouraging that this is something that kind of transcends the borders of religion and that we can all join in our own way in doing this. And I think you also had a story about the Jewish and a Palestinian
Yes.
father.
Yeah, I was very impressed about the documentary about two fathers, one Palestine and one from Israel, and they both lost a child in this conflict. And they recognized that they wanted to take revenge and they feel anger and aggression coming up, but they decided not to go that way, but to try to stay calm and not getting into aggression because they didn't want it to continue all the time, the aggression continuing. So it was hard work because every day they had the pictures of their children. Every day those feelings came up and they wanted to take revenge. But they had to work very hard inside, not reacting. So it was impressive because that's what God asked us to do, just to stay, just not to act, but just to try to bring yourself into peace. So that's a very good healing work.
Yeah, wonderful.
We can do that on our own with our own aggressive areas, conflicts inside.
Okay, so everybody can find a way to do this and to bring this lack of peace in the world or in ourselves to God. So thanks a lot, Maria. To round this off, I wanted to just summarize what we've been saying. So we're trying to build a people's movement of prayer for peace. We're suggesting to use the Rosary, Eucharistic adoration, and this staying with our inability to tackle peace in the world, to invite God in on that so that he can redeem and he can bring peace to us. If you want to help, please join us in prayer, first of all, in your own way. But also, if you have any suggestions, or initiatives that you would like others to know about, please leave them in the comments. Very appreciated. And then also it would be great if you could like and share this video with others. We also have made a short video, which is easier to share on social media, short, so WhatsApp or other platforms. And we would be really grateful if you could help to share this initiative with as many people that you think could appreciate it, so that we get a lot of people praying for peace all over the world, and that together we can be strong and we can really make a difference from the spiritual realm to redeem this time of conflict that we are facing. So thanks a lot for your help. Everything you do is much appreciated, and hopefully together we can come further towards peace. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.